Good morning. I'm back at my counter and talking about the Bible. I'm really enjoying working through the book of Acts. I feel like I should say we're back with our intrepid apostles to see what happens next. So what's happened is that Jesus has been resurrected from the dead and sent out his disciples, and they've gotten on everybody's nerves and everybody's bad list. And then they also incorporated new apostles or disciples in charge who were Hellenistic Jews. The first one who comes up on the radar is Stephen, who annoyed them so much that they took him outside the city gates to kill him in a fashion that they're used to, which is stoning him to death. And in this passage, we're going to meet Philip, which was the second Hellenistic Jew who was named to the list of leaders in the early church that was growing. So we're at Acts chapter 8, the first 10 verses, and we pick up where the apostles are having a funeral for Stephen, who has been killed. That set off terrific persecution, Stephen being killed, in the church in Jerusalem. The believers were all scattered throughout Judea and Samaria, all that is, but the apostles, brave and good men who buried Stephen, giving him a solemn funeral. Not many dry eyes that day. And Saul just went wild, devastating the church, entering house after house after house, dragging men and women off to jail. Forced to leave home base, the followers of Jesus became missionaries. Wherever they were scattered, they preached the message about Jesus. Going down to the Samaritan city, Philip proclaimed the message of the Messiah. When the people heard what he had to say and saw the miracles and the clear signs of God's actions, they hung on every word. Many who could neither stand nor walk were healed that day. The evil spirits protested loudly as they were sent on their way. And what joy in the city. So there's a lot of really cool stuff happening in this passage, and I am really enjoying just reading through the Acts very slowly, because all of them were these men who, filled with God's Holy Spirit, were doing what Jesus had done. That is, proclaiming God's kingdom and doing miracles. And the leaders in Jerusalem, again, you can imagine, if you're a leader in Jerusalem, Jesus has been killed in Jerusalem maybe 3, 4, 6 months earlier, and they figured that was it. Like Gamaliel said, there were other leaders who came and we killed the leaders and all the followers scattered. But here, it's like trying to kill a bunch of ants. Anyway, because the minute they strike, more of them pop up and they continue to tell about God's power and then continue to channel this power that changes people's lives. And so Saul, who again will become Paul, gets really upset and he just starts arresting people left and right. So the way he had the power to arrest people is that the Jewish authorities had power over the Jewish community, even though they were under the rule of Rome. So Rome was pretty benevolent in terms of a ruler. They let the Jewish folks get on with their Jewish business. When the Jews had been taken captive into Babylon, they were not allowed to practice their faith at all. So here in Jerusalem, under the rule of Rome, Rome basically said, your faith is your business. Pay us the money you owe us in taxes and get on with your life. So that was really the only thing that Rome wanted. So again, this is where King Herod comes in. King Herod was a puppet governor, but in terms of the Jewish community, there were rules. There were like 666 rules of the Jewish law. And so Saul is able to persecute the followers of Jesus according to the Jewish laws. Okay, so one of the rules that they're breaking is they're blaspheming God by saying that God had a son. You can't say that an eternal divine being had a son. Can't do it. So Saul is persecuting them and throwing them in faith jail and Jewish jail. That again, the Jewish leaders get to run because Rome doesn't care. Again, so long as Rome gets its taxes and the peace is kept, all you Jewish folks, you work out your Jewish stuff. So that's Saul. Saul is persecuting the church. And again, the tighter he tries to grip and smush and strangulate this new faith, the wider it grows. That always amazed me, that these men and women, I'm sure there were women around, but nobody's talking about them, so we'll just talk about men. They're leaving Jerusalem because they're scared for their lives, and they just get on the road and continue to preach good news. So they don't get on the road and say, gosh, that whole faith thing really, new faith, that whole Jesus following really got me in trouble before, so I'm not going to say a word. Nope. They say, wow, that whole Jesus thing really brought me life, and so I'll just talk about it in another place. And it's interesting in the text, it says that Philip went to a Samaritan village. Now, Samaritan were not Jewish. They were a combination of Jews and non-Jews who had married. You know, I told you a minute ago about Babylon. Well, when the Jews were in Babylon, they weren't allowed to practice their faith. And the prophets, I think it was Jeremiah, said, go ahead, marry, have families, intermingle, which is what the Jewish folks did. And so the Jewish folks married non-Jewish folks and created this other group of people, and we know them as Samaritans. And so entire Samaritan villages were there, where basically they're interracial marriages, but they still follow the Jewish law. So in our country, in our place, we have this pure bloodline thing too, and they did. So Samaritans were not seen as first-class Jewish folks. They were seen as second-class citizens. And Philip goes to their community and starts talking about the God that they know, because they know Judaism, and talks about his son, Jesus Christ, and starts doing the miracles that Jesus did, healing and casting out demons. And people are amazed, and they begin to believe what God is doing. And so in this situation where Saul figures, I can stamp this out, and stamping it out, he spreads it further. I just think that's a wonderful image, that so often when people think, or human beings, groups thinks, we'll stop this, we'll make sure that nobody gets on board with whatever that idea is. It causes people, it causes people to double down, to want more, to proclaim and to tell the thing that has changed their lives. And this was the thing that had changed Philip's life. It was the thing he was proclaiming, that Jesus Christ was the Son of God, and that in Jesus Christ there was forgiveness and wholeness and healing. And the word continued to spread. Now, this is, as near as I can read, maybe 6 months from Jesus's death. And so everybody has anticipated that once that leader guy got knocked down, all of it would dissipate. That's the exact pattern they had seen again and again when leaders had cropped up. We read that part when Gamaliel talks. But here, it just grows stronger and stronger and stronger. And so I know that in our generation, we are concerned about the church. If you read statistics and if you see demographics, it seems as though the church has lost its vitality at times. One of the programs we had in the church in the last 3 or 4 decades was Vital Church, Vital Congregations. And the institutional church has tried again and again to make sure that we stay who we are. And I get that. We have literally a lot of money invested in staying who we are as United Methodist or Lutherans or Episcopals, whoever we want to name. But for me, I like being a United Methodist. I like my job. But I know that whether we're a United Methodist or something else, if we can stay honest, relevant, authentic in our faith, then God is there and God is blessing it. And so as these people get on the run for their lives, the church grows because of Philip and others who will risk their life to tell that Jesus Christ is Lord in their life and do things that convince people. I know the church is not like that these days. Haven't performed a miracle and I don't know when. But I know that when people with authentic faith, people who are filled with God's Spirit, when I encounter them, I am blessed. And I pray that people are blessed by this simple little live feed that I do. Because God's power is alive and moving through us. We couldn't have gotten through the last year if God's power and grace was not alive and moving through us. And everything I read in Acts and the Bible says that God will come for those who call upon God's name. And here we have examples again and again that God's doing a mighty thing. And it's really frustrating the bejeebers out of Saul, because every time he tries to stop it, it will not be stopped. One time I read something that said, if you're tired of carrying something, if something's hard for you, and you've done everything you can in prayer and trying to remove it from you, and it doesn't, then that's God in the midst of your life. I think that's true. I think sometimes in my life I've tried to get rid of stuff that I'm carrying and prayed about it and lifted it up. But in the end, some of it has remained. So I just count it as God's blessing, as something that I have that helps me to understand others that are in a hard time. Christ's Spirit remained. It continued to perform miracles again and again and again. I have seen miracles in my life, not automatic healings or casting out of demons, but I've seen love that's shared. I've seen the church go on in mission and caring when they could have given up. I've seen love change people's lives. I'm not Philip. I'm not Stephen. I'm not any of the apostles, but I've been witnessed. I am a witness to what God is doing in this world. God's love is real for us today. Yay! So celebrate this beautiful, hot summer day, knowing that God is traveling with you, loving you, and that no matter what anybody did, no matter how many people were arrested, and even when people were killed, they would not give up the good news. They would not be silenced. As Jesus said, even the stones would scream out that God was doing a new thing in the person of Jesus Christ. And God's love would never be stopped. It's good news. I'll see you Sunday, and then next Tuesday is when I'm doing my live feed, because that's what works. So I'll post on Sunday, and then I'll see you on Tuesday. More Acts on Tuesday. Yay! Bye.